Hi everyone, my name's Andrew and I work for a company called Action Your Potential. This assembly is for you. It's about how incredibly amazing your brain is and how none of us are ever taught how to get the most out of our incredible brains. So this is about mental health, this is about well-being, this is about happiness, but it's also about learning and memory and managing emotion and motivation. Basically, it's about everything it means to have a wonderfully engaging, exciting human life. We've got everything we need at the top of our necks. We just need to learn how to get it to work for us properly. And that's what we spend our days doing as a company, supporting schools, supporting businesses to get the best out of everyone's incredible brain. So welcome to the Neuroscience Revolution. Let's dive in. So what we're about is building a neuro ninja. So I'll explain what a neuro ninja is. Basically, we've got the most incredible piece of kit at the top of our necks. We've got billions and billions of connections. In fact, a pea-sized bit of the brain has got more connections in it than there are grains of sand on all the beaches across the whole planet. And that is just a pea-sized bit of the brain. There are 86 billion neurons in our brain, and our brain is able to carry out a billion calculations per second. Like that. That finger click is a billion calculations. It would take a supercomputer 40 minutes to do the same thing. And yet, some days we can feel rubbish, we can feel low, we can have a negative conversation going on in our heads where we're beating ourselves up. And we can feel alone. Let's be honest, we can feel alone. This assembly is all about the fact we are not alone. We all share a common experience, and it's because we all live inside this incredible organ, this amazing brain. In fact, the brain builds our mind every single day. We're all born into our brain. We look out at the world through our brain, and our brain has got biases built into it. For example, all of our brains have got safety circuits that get very nervous when they spot any sort of uncertainty. That uncertainty we feel as anxiety, and what happens in our head is our brain generates lots of worries in that situation. We've all got those safety circuits. Worry, making mistakes and feeling bad about that, making an error or failing and feeling bad about that, falling out with somebody in a social situation and feeling bad about that. That is all systems built into the brain. And through all the work that we're going to do together, we'll explore all of those systems. But today's assembly is all about how we can build the best version of ourselves in our amazing brains to become a neuro ninja. And that's the company we set up, and we're working with loads of different schools now, colleges, schools, primary schools, parents, teachers, businesses. Our mission is to teach everyone about their brain so they can get the best out of their brain every single day. If we get the best out of our brain every day, we don't have to worry about the future. The best version of us is going to rock up every day. We're going to give our best. We're going to do our best. We're going to strive as hard as we can. We're going to challenge ourselves. We're going to grow. We're going to look after ourselves. And that will sort the future out because we'll be the best version of ourselves. We don't need to be anybody else. We just need to be the best version of ourselves. So being a neuro ninja means engaging in a revolutionary shift in our thinking. And this is a special gift for all of us. We've got this incredible brain, but learning how to use it is one of the things that we don't yet still teach in schools. Obviously, in your school, it's different. We're beginning that process of teaching that information to all of you. And one of the key important bits of information to understand is our brain is not the same every day. It changes every day as a result of the experiences we have. Whatever learning we do during the day, whatever experiences we have during the day, our brain encodes those experiences into its physical structure overnight. We call that process sleep, and the brain builds the mind every day. So the mind that is built every day from the circuits in the brain is a little bit different each day because it's adopted, absorbed, encoded the experiences we've had during the day. So we're a slightly different version of ourselves every day. The brain is plastic throughout our lives. That doesn't mean literally plastic, but it means that it constantly changes. So think about something you're good at. Say you play the guitar, play the recorder, you're a good footballer, you're very good on Fortnite, whatever it is. You got good because you practiced those skills, and that built the physical structure of those skills into the fabric of your brain. And that is the case. You can't have a skill, knowledge, attitude unless it's sitting in the fabric of your brain in connected neurons, which are the cells that make the brain up. So learn the guitar, practice that skill, you get to keep that skill. Learn a foreign language, practice that skill, you get to keep that skill. Learn, as I did as a kid, to overthink, worry and be anxious. You get to keep that, in scare quotes, skill. Our brain makes no distinction between whether it's a positive or negative set of experiences or knowledge. It just encodes what we use our brain for. So our brain works on the basis of, if we're using these circuits, I will keep these circuits. Now that idea comes from neuroscience, and it's an idea called neural plasticity.
Not so long ago, many scientists believed that the brain did not change after childhood, that it was hardwired and fixed by the time we became adults. But recent advances in only the last decade now tell us that this is simply not true. The brain can and does change throughout our lives. It is adaptable, like plastic. Hence, neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity. How does neuroplasticity work? If you think of your brain as a dynamic, connected power grid, there are billions of pathways or roads lighting up every time you think, feel, or do something. Some of these roads are well-traveled. These are our habits, our established ways of thinking, feeling, and doing. Every time we think in a certain way, practice a particular task, or feel a specific emotion, we strengthen this road. It becomes easier for our brains to travel this pathway. Say we think about something differently, learn a new task, or choose a different emotion. We start carving out a new road. If we keep traveling that road, our brains begin to use this pathway more, and this new way of thinking, feeling, or doing becomes second nature. The old pathway gets used less and less and weakens. This process of rewiring your brain by forming new connections and weakening old ones is neuroplasticity in action. The good news is that we all have the ability to learn and change by rewiring our brains. If you have ever changed a bad habit or thought about something differently, you have carved a new pathway in your brain and experienced neuroplasticity firsthand. With repeated and directed attention towards your desired change, you can rewire your brain.
So that's amazing news for all of us. We can all change our brain. The brain we get to live inside will change a little bit every single day if we build particular habits. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about how you can build those habits. Now, this assembly is going to finish with a little bit of homework. Don't worry, though. I heard that groan. Don't worry. The homework is the best homework you've ever had. It's called a daily life experiment. It's a set of habits you can take into your life to change your life. Now, that is an offer, isn't it? Wow. So we're looking at skill 1. There are 10 skills to become a Neuro Ninja, but we're looking at skill 1 today, which is do your rocks. So as I said, the brain builds the mind every day. The quality of our daily well-being is partly down to what we've done in the previous 24 hours. So that experience of grogginess you have when you first wake up, that's called sleep inertia. And that is the brain circuits connecting up to build that day's mind. The mind is a model the brain builds of its own operation. So half of how we feel every day is down to what we've done in the previous 24 hours. The other half is to do with relationships with parents and carers and friends and experiences we've had growing up. Maybe we've experienced trauma, loss, whatever experiences have happened to us will impact upon our brain. But because our brain's plastic, whatever's happened to us, the hopeful message from brain science is that we can change and develop ourselves throughout our lives, whatever we've been through. So there are a set of habits that all of us need to carry out every day. We need to make sure that we get enough sleep every day. We need to exercise every day. Sleep builds brain cells. Exercise makes connections occur between brain cells. Sleep supports memory as well. We need to make sure we eat healthily. The brain requires 20% of the body's fuel day to day. We need to be still, sit in our heads, focusing on our breathing, and calm ourselves down every day. Mind wandering, that is when our brain is off daydreaming. We all have lots of different emotions every day. We need to process those emotions. We need to be able to acknowledge that we've had those emotional experiences. I felt sad today because, I felt happy today because. We need to listen to music. That wires our brain up in a whole range of different ways. We need to walk outside in nature. That's really important for our brain as well. It turns on a calming down system in our brain. Spending time with friends and family, our brain loves to do that. And being kind and grateful might sound a little wishy-washy, but it also turns on the bit at the front of our head called our prefrontal cortex. Doing what you love, every brain's different, everyone's got different interests, everyone's got different skills. Giving our brain the opportunity to strut its funky stuff every day is really important. Reading, learning, playing, creating is rock number 12. So those are the 12 rocks of well-being. Every single person listening to this, be they an adult or a child, every single one of us is better if we do these rocks of well-being. Everything we present is based on neuroscience, health science, psychology. There's massive effect sizes for all of these things in terms of the quality of the connections across the brain and the self we get to live inside every day. The brain produces the self like a projector produces an image. The image we get to live inside, the mind, is built on the physical structure of the brain. So we need to make sure we get these 12 rocks of well-being in every single day. Our mission is to convince you you don't need to try and be like anybody else. You just need to be the best version of you.
I have a lot of memories from when I was a child. One that's always stuck out to me, though, was when I was about 10 years old, and I was in school, and I struggled. And I didn't struggle with English, math, or science. I struggled holding still. And I would try to listen and focus and process ideas, but I couldn't help myself. And to be honest, I would sit there and then I would just start tapping. And the students in the class would look at me and they'd say, "Hey, stop tapping." A lot of the time, I didn't even realize I was doing it. And then eventually even the teachers got after me and they would yell at me and they'd say, "Clint, you have to stop tapping." It got so bad that I got sent to the principal's office for tapping. And he said to me, "Okay, maybe when you go back to class, just try sitting on your hands." So I did. I went back to class, and when I felt myself starting to tap, I did this. I sat on my hands. And that worked for about 5 seconds. One time I was tapping in class, and my teacher, Mr. Jensen, he looked at me, and he yelled. And he said, "Clint, stay after class." And I thought to myself, this is it. I am done. Now, I've always been the type of person that believes that a single moment in time can change a person's life. And this was one of those moments for me. And I will never forget it. And so I was sitting there with Mr. Jensen and an empty classroom. And he walked past me and he sat next to his desk and he said, "Clint, come here. I want to talk to you." And as he looked me right in the eye, he said, "Now, I need you to know something. You're not in trouble. But I do have just one question that I have to ask you." And he asked, he said, "Have you ever thought about playing the drums?" And in that moment, Mr. Jensen, he leaned back and he opened the top drawer of his desk. And he reached in and he pulled out my very first pair of drumsticks. And he held them in his hands and he looked at me and he said, "Hey, Clint, you're not a problem. I think you're a drummer." From that moment on, I've never put those sticks down. I've toured, recorded, and played drums all over the world. My whole college education was paid for with drumsticks in my hand. Just because of a single moment in time when somebody believed in me and he saw something in me that I didn't even see within myself. And from that moment, I learned that there's a difference between being the best in the world and being the best for the world.
Which is what we want for all of you. On this special day, we want you to understand this day will only come once. The best version of you needs to rock up into it, to be the best version of you, to challenge yourself, to grow your incredible brain. Learning is hard, It's effortful. Sometimes we'll tell ourselves that we can't do it. We absolutely can. Like I said, you've got so much potential right at the top of your neck. You don't need anything else except to do your rocks every day. That is one of the most important things. Deliberate rest, that's what that list is about. Deliberate rest supports deliberate practice, supports deliberate growth, and we can become unstoppable. So that homework I mentioned, the daily life experiment, to try and fit your rocks in every day, and look at that list. Some of those things you'll do well already. You might have a good exercise habit already. Your sleep might be fine at the moment. Just look at a couple of things on that list and build them into your life over the next few weeks. That's what being a Neuro Ninja is all about. Don't forget to check out our website. Because your school's involved with us, you just need to go to our website, actionyourpotential.org. There's loads and loads of resources on there, lots of information about your amazing brain. And follow us on social media as well, because we're always there to answer your questions, and we're always making videos to respond to the questions that young people send us. Take care, everyone. Thanks for listening.